What's up, guys? Welcome back to the show. Today we're going to talk about something that I think is very important for everybody to be aware of. So let's get into it, okay? Let's get straight into it. So clearly, Bitcoin has had a hell of a week, a hell of a month, a hell of a past 6 months, whatever. We're sitting on $41,000 and it doesn't seem like it's going to slow down anytime soon. Could it dip down and have a retracement, have a pullback? Of course. Matter of fact, at this point, it should pull back. That would be the healthy thing to do. But people are buying every single dip so fast. Institutions are jumping in, buying dips so fast that it just doesn't seem like a big pullback that we need. So, I mean, it is what it is, right? I remember when I was telling people to buy this thing when it was at $4,000 and no one really listened to me. Nobody really paid attention. And even right now, people seem like they think that they missed the boat, that it's too expensive now. So let's look at that. I'm going to explain a lot of reasons why that thinking is very flawed, and we should have a better way of looking at things. Let's look at things from a different perspective, okay? So first of all, when you look at this chart of Bitcoin here, this is 2017. It hit 19,000. It crashed back down to like 3,000, and it slowly rallied its way back up. And now here we are. We're sitting here at 41,000. If you look at this chart, what would you say? What would you think about that chart? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me see. There you go. What would you think about this chart right here? You would say this is crazy, right? Like you would think that this right here is all insanity. That's crazy. That's just going up way too fast and it's gonna crash anytime, correct? I mean, that's what you're gonna think. But the problem with this chart is, and I say this again and again, this is not a good chart to look at. You're looking at the wrong metric. It's like trying to measure your wall to put up a new window, but then you're using the wrong ruler. The ruler is skewed. It's not accurate. And how are you going to be able to create a project or make good decisions based on that? So we have to look. You have to understand this chart is not a logarithmic chart. That's why all of these price action right here, back here, is all squished up like that. Why? Because this chart was designed to put the most emphasis on the most recent price action. It's kind of like when you take a selfie and you put the camera super close to your face and you're like, damn, my nose look huge. It's because it's emphasizing that feature. And the same thing is going on with this chart here. So what you need to do is go to the BLX chart, which is the longest lasting Bitcoin chart ever existed. It goes all the way back to 2010, I believe. Put on the logarithmic function. You see this right here, toggle log scale, put that on. And then now everything is weighted equally. And then we're going to look at the monthly chart, okay? And we're going to see what's going on here. Now, the vertical line that's being drawn is the halving. The halving mechanism is when the supply of Bitcoin gets cut in half every 4 years. So it makes it twice as scarce. That's a very powerful catalyst for a bull run, and it has been that way ever since Bitcoin was created, and nothing has changed. The first halving was 2013, price shot all the way up and then came back down for the bear market, and then in 2016 and then the next halving event happened, and then we shot all the way back up, and then now we came back down, and then here we are in May 2020 of last year. We had the third halving for Bitcoin, and then as you can see, we're shooting back up. Now, look at this chart. Do you see the difference between this chart and this chart? Do you see the difference? This is the previous chart that I was telling you to look at, where you look at this and you think this is insanity. This is crazy. This is not sustainable. But then when you look at it from a non-objective point of view, non-biased point of view, this is what Bitcoin does. It did the same thing after the first halving cycle. It did the same thing after the second, and it's just doing the same thing after the third halving. And that's why my price target for the end of 2021 was $100,000, which is right here. That's where it's marked at. This dotted line right here is $100,000. Okay, and you look how close we are. And if you look at these patterns, these previous patterns that's been playing out for the past 12 years. Does that not look like it's going to touch that? Of course it is. Matter of fact, it's probably going to go way higher than $100,000 at this point. It's moving very fast because of other factors that we're going to talk about next, okay? Ignore that price. It's not updated. I don't know why. But anyways, let's get back to it. So that's the first thing you're looking at. You're looking at the wrong chart. That's the first thing, okay? You're looking at this chart right here without the log function, and it just looks like a parabolic, insane, speculative FOMO, fear, greed, just a cesspool of, degenerate people just gambling, throwing money at this thing. But when you look at it from the log chart and you see its price action from the past 12 years all the way until now, you can clearly see that this is simply a pattern happening again and again because of the way the Bitcoin was designed. It's designed to continue going up forever. That's just why, and we're going to get into that right now, okay? So the second thing I wanted to talk about, people are looking at the wrong thing. They're looking at Bitcoin in terms of dollar value. They're thinking, oh, it's too expensive right now. It's $40,000. But they're not looking at it from the real value that it offers. Okay, Bitcoin was designed to only have 21 million coins ever. And out of those 21 million coins, about 3 to 4 millions have already been lost by people that had it way in the past when it was worth like $1, $10, so they didn't care about it. They threw it around, they put it on their wallet, on their computer, they lost the password, they can't find it. It's just lost forever. As in no one will ever claim those Bitcoin. So it just kind of lost. So technically, if you think about it, we actually will only have about 17 million Bitcoin ever in existence. 17 instead of 21 because subtract the 4 million lost coins. So now when you think of it like that, that's an incredibly scarce asset. I mean, there's nothing in this world that's as scarce as Bitcoin. 21 million, that's all we can have. So then we have to look at Bitcoin in terms of that, as in how much of this not 21 million, I'm sorry. We already established it's going to be 17 million because of the lost coins. So you got to think of it like, how much of this 17 million coins can I accumulate throughout my lifetime? How much of this can I have? Because this is digital real estate. This is the difference between Bitcoin and paper money, the USD, the Canadian dollar, the euro, whatever. Those things can be printed out of thin air. You cannot create more Bitcoin, period. And if you want to know why or how that's regulated, you have to watch other videos. It's a whole deep rabbit hole you got to go down. But just know there can only be 17 million Bitcoin ever. So your job is not to, buy Bitcoin, it's too expensive, I don't want to buy right now. Your job is to accumulate as much of that pie as you possibly can. So this article, and I'll link it in the description below, says why you should own at least 0.0025 Bitcoin and why time is running out to get it. And this was written in February 2020. So this was before the COVID madness, the whole money printing madness, all the crazy shit that happened in the world, the US dollar being devalued down to nothing. So basically this article just used math. Math is the ultimate truth. You can't lie on math. You can't be subjective when it comes to math. 1 + 1 is 2. So the current world population right now is almost $8 billion. 8 billion people, right? 8 billion people, 17 million Bitcoin. Think about that. So let's go ahead and go through this article real quick. The simple math. It is not possible for every human on the planet to own a single Bitcoin. In fact, it never was. There will only be 21 million produced between its creation in 2009 and the end of the mining cycle in 2140. As of today, 18 million have already been mined and 86% total has already been mined. So there's only about 3 million left to be mined. And however, of course, like we talked about, how many lost Bitcoins are there? There's about 3 to 4 million Bitcoin that's already lost forever. Okay. So if you think about it like that, it becomes even more scarce. And as it become even more urgent that we have to get on and try to get a piece of our digital real estate for the future, because this is what it is. This is literally a race to own a piece of a new land, of new frontier that exists, that's incorruptible, that cannot be stopped, cannot be controlled, cannot be manipulated, unlike everything else that's going on in the world right now. So the next highlight, to buy that amount in today's price, which is when it was at $9,600 per Bitcoin at the time of writing, it would cost you $22. In other words, just $23 spent today would guarantee that you have more Bitcoin than the average person on the planet could own, mathematically speaking. Now, of course, right now we're at $40,000 a coin. So, of course, you got to take that number and multiply it by 4. So because you've been late, That's the price you pay for being late. So now instead of $23, in order to get just the amount of Bitcoin that an average person could have, you would need about $90. So 23 times 4, about $92. I mean, $92, right? So that's what you need, right? $92, $100 just to get your average piece of how much. Just think of it like, by the time this is all said and done, most people can only have that many Bitcoin, that much. And you could get that now for $100, right? $100. Come on, guys. So of course, if you keep reading, there are a significant number of Bitcoin that has been lost and will likely never be recovered, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, like I said, guys, of course you want more than that, clearly. But how much more, that's up to you. How much more, that's up to you. How much do you believe in this thing? How much conviction do you have in this thing? And how much can you afford? That's up to you. But like I said, you guys are looking at the wrong thing. You're looking at price in USD term. USD is continuously being devalued by the second, guys. I just read the news yesterday where Biden said that he's going to get into office, and the first thing he's going to do is print $3 trillion. Come on, man. What do you think is going to happen after that? Like, the long-term effect of inflation is going to be felt soon. It doesn't get felt right away. The aftermath, the aftermath, the aftershock, it doesn't hit us regular citizens right away, but you will feel it. You will feel it in the price of everything going up. Real estate's going to go up. The house you always wanted your whole life, the price is going to go up. Everything is going to go up. Bitcoin will only become stronger the more government does that. So, like I said, guys, adding to those figures, you need blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, like I said, you want to have as much of this piece of the pie that you possibly can, right? The next thing you got to think about is the whales, which is a term used for a people or organization who own a huge amount of Bitcoin since the time that, of inception or way early or whatever. And just basically a whale is somebody that's very wealthy, institutions, whoever, right? Or individuals that has a lot of money. You got to compete with them too. Remember, because this is not a fair game. Not everybody has the same amount of money that we all get, this many Bitcoin. No, that's socialism. This is capitalism, right? So let's talk about that. Okay. How many millionaires are there in the world? About 47 million millionaires in the world today. I know that number sounds crazy, but that's the fact. And I didn't even know that before I Googled it, before I learned about it, I read about it. But there's about 47 million millionaires in the world. Now, like I said, there's only 17 million Bitcoin. Even if each millionaire wants to have a half of a Bitcoin, that's not enough. That's not enough because there's only 17 million. They could have a third of the Bitcoin if it was only divided amongst them. But of course, there's also the billionaires, there's also the, gazillionaires, and there's also the big banks, the central banks, the nation state that's going to want to hoard Bitcoin and buy it and keep it forever in their treasury. As far as, the working class, this is only talking about millionaires. If the world only exists with the millionaires on it, if they're the only people in the world, each one of them still can't own a third of a Bitcoin. So if you have just a third of a Bitcoin, you are already guaranteed to have more than any millionaire could have when it's all said and done, right? Of course, if they buy it now, they accumulate now while it's still early. That's a different story, but that's the number, okay? This is math. And if you look at this is bitcointreasuries.org. Somebody created a spreadsheet of all the companies, the private and public companies that own Bitcoin on their treasury, on their balance sheets, right? MicroStrategy was the big one. They bought $1 billion worth of Bitcoin recently. Michael Saylor, an absolute legend. But if you look down here, look how many percentage of all Bitcoin that's already owned by them. 6%. That's huge, guys. That is huge. And we're still so early. You understand? And that's what I'm saying. 6% of all Bitcoin in circulation is already gone. And it's now become this race to own this asset that's incredibly scarce. This article on Market Watch is really cool. It says Bitcoin is headed for a supply shortage and that will keep pushing up price. Bitcoin has matured and is now ready to be invested. And that's why institutions are here. Today, there is significantly more demand for Bitcoin than there is supply. About 900 new Bitcoin are mined daily, and 3 market participants alone, PayPal, Square, and Grayscale, purchase considerably more than 900 Bitcoin a day because of high investor demand. Sorry, I don't know if you guys can see that. If this dynamic continues, and we believe it will, much higher prices lie ahead for the dominant Bitcoin, right? So 900 Bitcoin are being mined daily. That's all that they can mine, 900. They can't mine more. That's it. And three companies alone, PayPal, Square, and Grayscale, are buying way more than that number, significantly more. So what's left for us, regular people? That's why the price keeps going up. That's why it's going to continue to keep going up. And of course, they start talking more about all these big Wall Street guys are now on trying to accumulate Bitcoin. Paul Tudor Jones. You guys can read this later. I'll link it up. And down here, unprecedented amount of Bitcoin are being removed from exchanges. This is crazy, guys. I mean, before this 2017 bull run, we saw a much smaller but similar phenomenon. Basically, 11% of Bitcoin on the exchanges was removed from the exchange, as in whoever bought it just took it and basically put it in a black hole. Like they put it in cold storage and you will never buy it from them ever. Like they're not selling, they're buying it forever. So that's what happened before in 2017. But right now, about 22% decline on the exchanges. And that's a very fucking astounding number if you think about it, because man, these whales, these institutions are just sucking all of the supply of Bitcoin out of circulation, and and it just becomes a supply shortage. So what happens when supply goes down? Demand goes up and the price goes up. That's just common sense. Down here, I like what he said down here at the very bottom. Another factor as to why Bitcoin will continue to go up is because the hodlers, or the people that hold Bitcoin, that own Bitcoin, are not selling. The true Bitcoiners are not selling. The ones that understand the value of this thing, they know where this thing is going to go. They know how powerful this thing is. They're never selling, guys. Good luck finding someone with a meaningful amount of Bitcoin that's actually willing to sell any of their position for anything. Yeah, right. That's very accurate. A lot of people are not willing to sell Bitcoin. So how much Bitcoin does it take to break into the 1% club? And it says about 0.28 just to get into the 1%. As of right now, that's about roughly maybe $12,000 just to get into the 1%. So basically, if you have 0.28 of a Bitcoin, you're pretty much guaranteed to be the 1% of the world in the future, because the rate where this thing is going and how scarce it is, that's just math. Okay. So the last thing I want to talk about is market cap and why people are looking at the wrong thing. When you look at Bitcoin at $40,000 a coin, right, you're looking at the wrong metric once again. You're looking at a price per individual coin. The market cap, what that basically means is there's 21 million Bitcoin, okay? The total market cap of Bitcoin right now is about 500, 600 billion or whatever. Let's just say 500 for simplicity. So 500 billion divided by 21 million coins is what gets you this $41,000 per coin, right? So basically the total market cap is the total value of the entire assets, which is 500 billion, and you divide that by how many Bitcoins in circulation, and each Bitcoin is $41,000. Same as if, like, let's say Apple market cap right now is like 2 trillion, and they have to divide it by how many shares are circulating, and then that's how you get the price per share of the stock of Apple, right? So the market cap of Bitcoin right now is about 500 billions, well, 600 billion. Let's just say 600 billion, okay? Let's look at that compared to everything else. Bitcoin is so tiny still, it's so young. Bitcoin's market cap, it's eating up, it's slowly overtaking all of these big companies' market cap. And the last one, the biggest market cap company in the world is Apple, and that's $2.2 trillion, right? So in order for Bitcoin to even get to where Apple is, we would need a 5x increase. Roughly a 5x increase from here. So that would put us at about $200,000 per Bitcoin, because 40,000 times 5 is about $200,000. So that's when we will become the biggest market cap company in the world. And it's rightfully so, because you got to understand the difference between all these companies and Bitcoin. Bitcoin is money. It's money, guys. This is supposed to be the biggest. That's why we're so early. That's why I keep saying we're so early, but people don't understand what I mean by that. These companies, they can't compete with money. This is money, okay? So let's look at the next one. Bitcoin's market cap, of course, right, this is old, so as of now is higher, is 600 billion. Apple is $2 trillion. Now gold It's a $12 trillion market cap asset. Gold, the one thing that they said that Bitcoin is the most similar to. That's why they call it digital gold, Bitcoin. Now, if Bitcoin wants to compete with gold, in order for it to get to where gold is, that's 12 trillion. From where it is right now, that's a roughly 20x. Roughly 20x from now. So because 20 times let's say 500 billion, just to make it simple, is about $10 trillion, right? So gold is 12 trillion, give or take, right? So you take 20 times 40,000 right now. That means Bitcoin would have to be at about $800,000 a coin just to be on the same level as gold. Now, if you look at history, every internet-based company or every internet related asset or stocks, what do? They always outcompete with the analog version being gold, right? Blockbuster and Netflix, for example, Amazon and Sears. Now, each one of those, when Amazon beats Sears, they don't beat Sears and then just basically just get on the same playing field. They beat them by a factor of 10, by a factor of 20. Same with Netflix. Netflix current market cap right now is not just 2 times, 3 times bigger than Blockbuster was before. It's about 10 times. So if you look at it, even if we just have to get to the same level as where gold is, that will be an $800,000 Bitcoin. And that's just to get to this level. That's not to mention we're going to go above and beyond that, because we're the digital version of gold. We're better in every way. We're faster, we're smarter, we're stronger, everything. And I made a different video explaining that if you guys want to check it out. But that's what I'm saying, guys. There's so much more room to go to the upside. You guys are so early, you have no idea. Bitcoin, 500 billion market cap. Now, as you can see with these slides, I'm just looking at market cap. I don't care about the price per individual Bitcoin because that's very misleading. This is what institutions look at. They look at the total market cap. Gold, about 11 trillion. Money supply, about 100 trillion for money supply of USD, Euro, Chinese yen, all of that combined, 100 trillion. That's 10 times more than gold. So that means that if Bitcoin were to overtake this next, that would put it at $8 million a coin. And you guys think that number is crazy now. But when Bitcoin was at $1, they thought $41,000 per Bitcoin was crazy too. It's just the way this thing is progressing. It's just technology. It's so fascinating. It's genius invention that Satoshi Nakamoto came up with, called Bitcoin, and it's gonna eat everything. It's gonna eat the world. Global debt is 253 trillion, guys. So look how small Bitcoin is right now compared to them. So that's why I say it's so early. Okay, it's so early. Look, Bitcoin compared to gold, compared to collectible art, which is 17 trillion, compared to government bond, which is 20 trillion. Cars, collectibles, 5 trillions, and real estate, the real estate market, 228 trillion. You know what Bitcoin is? Digital real estate. Digital real estate, because when you own a piece of Bitcoin, you own something that cannot be replicated, cannot be made more of. And that's what real estate is. That's what land is. You only have so much land on this earth, right? That's why it's valuable. That's why a piece of land in Manhattan is worth so much money, right? Oh, I'm sorry, you guys can't see it because of me here. So yeah, that's why a piece of land and real estate worth so much money. And that's what Bitcoin is. It's digital real estate. So when Bitcoin gets big enough, it's going to start eating into this market cap as well. It's going to start taking away from this guy's share value as well. It's fascinating. And here's the top countries by market cap. Like I said, United States, about 20 trillion in circulating supply. Chinese yuan, all of this. In the euro, about 14 trillion. Guys, I'm going to leave you guys with this, okay? This is December's highlights. This is the highlight of what happened with Bitcoin, all the big companies, big institutions that bought into Bitcoin. You can pause this and look at it deeper. But MicroStrategy, they bought $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. Mass Mutual Insurance Fund bought $100 million. Ruffer announces a 740 million Bitcoin position. One River, JP Morgan estimate 1% of allocation from Bitcoin from pension and insurance. Guggenheim says that the true value of Bitcoin is about $400,000. Guys, you name it. JP Morgan says gold will suffer for years because of Bitcoin. Fidelity Digital bought Bitcoin. Jeffries, head of global equity, bought Bitcoin. Skybridge bought 182 million of Bitcoin. Guys, you name it. You name it. Look at all these big institutions trying to scoop up your Bitcoin, and you guys are letting them. You guys are allowing them to buy this precious thing and taking it away from your shares. And that's what it is. In the end, that's what it is. We're in a race. We're in a race to accumulate as much Bitcoin as we can, because that's going to be the future. And that's what all these big companies, these big name institutions with huge reputation on the line are now coming out and basically saying, yeah, this is the race. This is the ultimate race to see who can own the most out of the 17 million Bitcoin that's going to be in existence ever. So guys, I hope this video helps. You guys stay safe. And like I said, we're very early. Don't ever think you're late. We're very early to the game.